Hello everybody, Paul Richards here with PTZOptics.
Hi everybody, I'm Andy Chatfield, Head of Tech Support here at PTZOptics.
And it's Tech Support Tuesday, so Andy's going to go through all of our downloads and software resources that come with cameras.
Yep, just a basic little section of the web page here I want to go over with you guys just to make sure. There's lots of good resources here, lots of good tools that you can use to adjust things on the cameras. So you can see Paul is going here. You go to PTZOptics.com, go to the upper right, go to resources, go down to go to downloads. And this is what the page should look like. So you can see on the left, we have all of the data sheets for every single one of our PTZOptics cameras and our joystick and our PT broadcaster head, even the PTZOptics ceiling mount. We have everything for it. If you go down a little bit further, you can see the camera catalog, and you can also see CAD files with dimensions for the cameras if you need them. Next to that, we do have the user manuals. The data sheets are about 2 pages, 3 pages per camera. The user manuals are 30 to 40 pages. So there's a lot more information, basically everything you need to know for all the different camera models. If you have any questions about what's the difference between the 12X SDI G1 and the G2, the manuals for each of them respectively are up there so you can see. Underneath that, we do have the Android control app, and we have most importantly, the Crestron and Extron codes. These are modules for the Extron and Crestron. If you're programming, you can come in here, answer some basic information, and download whichever one you need. And these are pre-built by our programmer in-house. They should work for you. If you have any issues with them, feel free to just go here and submit a ticket at the top. So now that we've gone over the data sheets and user manuals, we have the real meat of this section over here in the resources section. Paul, if you could just click on the Visca commands at the top. This is, if you're hooked up over serial, these are all the serial commands for our cameras. So if you're writing in your own control system, you need the direct Visca commands. This is the list. So after the Visca commands, I believe we have the firmware for the PT Joy. This is firmware for the PTZOptics cameras. The main reason you would need to use this at this point is if you have a G1 camera that you need to have work with the PT Joy, you're going to need to apply a firmware update that will allow the camera to work correctly with the IP joystick. So that's what those are. All the ones that are shipping nowadays, all the G2 cameras have this firmware already built in, so you don't need to put it on G2 cameras. We have the camera dimensions, which goes right along with the CAD drawing. The IP address setting tool is actually incredibly important if you hook up your camera on a network. Running this program, so once you download it, you should get the upgrade V19 is what it shows up as in your downloads folder. Paul, I think you already have this one open. So it should show up as this once you get the upgrade V19 installed, and you're just going to run that upgrade tool. Click run. And Paul, if you could just hit search, it's basically going to go out and search using the first 6 digits of the MAC address, do a multicast search on your network, and find every single camera that has those first 6 MAC address digits the same, which is going to be every single PTZOptics camera. So you can use this to, if you right-click on that, you can go ahead and upgrade or config. If you go to config, Paul, upgrade should be for doing firmware upgrades. Config should be for changing your IP address. So it's real easy to find the cameras with their default IP address, change it to something you need, and then move on to the next step. So the IP address setting tool is really useful for the PTZOptics cameras if you're going to have them hooked up over the network.
Yeah, we did a whole video on that, what was it, just last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. So under the IP address setting tool, we have our IP control Visca commands. This is TCP, UDP, or CGI. Same thing as the Visca commands. All of our cameras operate IP control, basically Visca over IP. And then we have some direct HTTP commands as well. The AMCAP USB camera configuration tool, very useful if you have a USB camera. You can adjust some settings in there. The G2 PTZOptics cameras, you can use AMCAP to actually set the USB video resolution and the frame rate. So another very useful one. The open source IP control software is just a piece of software that was written by one of our clients. He decided to share it with us, so we decided to share it with everyone else. We don't really support it, but it is there. If people want to try their hand at writing their own little module for controlling the cameras, we got the backbone for you here. And after that, we just have our certifications, and that is basically it. I just wanted to go over this section real quick because I still get a lot of calls from people looking for a way to test their USB camera using AMCAP, or they need to hook up, they need to change the IP address of the camera, and they've just been connecting directly to a computer and changing the IP address of the computer to be in range of the camera, and then it can be a huge mess if you're not using the IP address setting tool. So those are the really important ones that I wanted to make you guys become familiar with, as well as the Visca commands and the CGI commands, things like that, that get used a pretty good bit, from my understanding.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to this Tech Support Tuesday. Don't forget to subscribe to get all of our videos, and thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.